Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, I want to thank everybody for coming and listening to me this afternoon or early evening, whichever time zone you may be from, in the 6 o'clock in the evening, early evening here on the East Coast. And I want to make sure that I mention Replay Crew. For those who can't be live with me and do listen later, I also thank you very much for doing so. Just going to take a moment and say hello to everybody, at least who I can see. I see Pam Patrol. I see Miss Justice. I see Lip Lock No More. Miss Lorraine Aldrich. Thank you. Kathy Niffen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Find Summer's Truth. Thank you. Rebelicious. Thank you. Cat Eyes. Thank you. Peas in a Pod. Thank you very much. Brittany Blue Eyes. Truth Finder, thank you. Miss Carrie, and I did say cosplay as well. Thank you both for coming and listening in and helping out. I appreciate you every single time I go live. Janice, thank you. And if I miss you, I want to thank you also. Who said what? Thank you very much. I see you. God's Girl 1971, thank you very much. And I know I have more people that are sitting in the background listening. If you are inclined to, please, I would appreciate you saying hello, as well as hitting that like button and subscribe button. It's not a matter of getting to 1,000 people for me to become monetized, because I vowed from day one this channel will never be monetized. It just shows me that you like what I'm saying, you agree with what I'm saying, and you want to hear more. Flip Flop, thank you very much for coming out. Diane Solomon, thank you very much. Debbie H, thank you. That Girl 77, thank you very, very much. I do appreciate you doing so. Sylvia Tyndall, thank you. Pat Wicks, thank you. Today's going to be a little bit different. I am fed up today. There's no other way of saying it. I am fed up today. This past weekend, going back to Thursday night, I am a big-time NFL sports geek type of person. So this was, for if anybody else has that type of person in their family, you understand. This was a huge weekend for us. It's the NFL draft, and it's just a big, huge NFL sports geek weekend. I can't explain it more than that, because it would get boring to those who aren't. Never did I stop and paying attention to what was going on with Summer Wells, although I did delay it and go back and review it and find if there was anything interesting. And something happened. I, of course, am talking about the interview that the lab had, where he had Don Wells. And Don Wells was in a very contentious mood. Hello, Dumpling. Thank you for coming out. He was in a very contentious mood. Started off with going and blaming Josh for everything once again. And no, I am not taking another creator's side. I am not defending another creator. I am not saying this creator was right, this creator is wrong. That is not what I do here. But when a person that goes onto a panel or goes and joins another channel, sometimes you have to stop and listen because that's an interview that is very important. Don Wells went and joined Josh. And at one point, he said he is sick and tired of the disrespect that he gets. I don't know where it came from, but the lab had a short in which he sat there and said that Don Wells said he always thought his child was cute. Then as she developed, and I'm not going to continue on. Please feel free to find that short. It is the single most disgusting and disrespectful thing that I have ever heard about Summer Wells. And it came from her father. I honestly felt sick to my stomach. I honestly felt so sick to my stomach when I initially heard this. Thank you, Cosplay, for putting that link in the chat here. For those who want to know, that is the link that we are talking about, where the short from Don Wells and what he said, I believe, was on another channel that I just do not talk about. Don Wells said the single most disrespectful thing that he could ever say about his child. In previous lives, I had said that you have to look further. The further you look into a person's past, you understand the present and can start to see the future. I think it's time for Don to go have a long talk with TBI or Hawkins County. Long talk. Because that little short that I'm talking about, he sexualized his daughter. I'm not on YouTube, so unfortunately I can't pin that what Cosplay had posted up there. Between Carrie and Cosplay, I'm going to ask them to post that again in a moment. I'm going to get on YouTube, and so I can get that pinned because so others can see it if you do join late. He sexualized his daughter. There is no other kind way to say it. There's no PC way of saying it. It's what he did. Lorraine, I understand. I do see your comment. And You know my channel. We're not going to have that in the here. So rest easy. But Debbie H., that's the point. He needs to swallow his pride. Hubris. He needs to get over himself and actually do something for Summer. Because each and every channel that he goes on, and this is no knock on the lab, this is no knock on any other channel, unless you're a drama-oriented channel, that you cannot justify the conversation that you're having with the Wells, because the conversation that you are having is exactly what he accuses the channels like my own, the lab, what's his name, can't remember his name off the top of my head, and I apologize to that creator. He's another local. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. That we want to talk about. We want to, Christina Rustafel, thank you very much for coming out. I appreciate that. Yes, Miss Justice, that's it. Trev. Is it Trev time? That's a channel. We want to talk about Summer. We want to sit there and say, hey, you know, let's keep the information out there. Let's keep we are the ones that are out there defending Summer. As Don Wells, so with a lack of better way of saying it, nobody defends Summer. But the truth is that everybody needs to defend Summer from her own damn parents. They are the ones that are making a disgusting mockery out of what happened to their daughter. They are the ones that should be ashamed for what they go online and do and say. The lab's interview yesterday was perfect example of what somebody with a missing child should be acting like. Brandy got on the live, and at first he said, oh, I don't know who the person is. Do you? To Josh. Brandy turns around and says, my name is Brandy Neal. My son is Michael J. Vaughn. He's been missing for 241 days. Or however long it may be. I forget the number she used. We have said it many, many times on this channel that every single time he gets asked a question that is not about Summer Wells, he should never accept the premise of the question. His answer should be, I'm here to talk about my daughter, Summer Moon Utah Wells, who went missing on 6/15/2021. If we are not here to talk about her, there is no point in me being here. Darlene Spencer, I would go a step further and say that Brandy Neal is an advocate for her son. Not only she is an advocate for her son, but she's becoming an advocate for other missing children. Peas in a pod, you're exactly right. That's exactly what he said. I don't know about any other YouTuber that isn't oriented in drama. Yes, I will admit that sometimes I do pay attention to what they say because they will often have, not often, but seldomly often, will have a golden nugget of information. And yes, I'll pick up on them and I will go ahead and I will expand on that and I will point it out and I will research it to see if there's something there that they're missing when they're live. Not only myself, but my mods do it as well. Diane Solomon, that's exactly where I'm going. Exactly where I'm about to go. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to take a drink of water. I love my filtered water. Brandy pleaded with Don to accept CCF help, and he won't because he knows they will find out the truth. It goes further than that. I am convinced still to this day that the Wells stopped talking to the police, to TBI, to the FBI because of one point. 1 point. David Brasher, thank you for coming out. If I didn't see your name earlier, I appreciate it. And if I do miss anybody, please understand that just sometimes you get focused and you just miss somebody in the chat. It's not personal. It does happen. God's Girl 1971, thank you also for coming out. It goes all the way back to 2021. I want to say August. When it's the first time that I heard that they wanted to re-interview Candace. I may be off on a little bit, but somewhere in about there, that's when I heard it. Wooded Father, thank you very much for coming out. It was at that point that the Wells stopped trying. Or they stopped pulling back and slowing down and stopped making an effort of communicating with the police. When the behavior panel interviewed Candace, she quit the interview and said, "This is not helping." She quit the interview saying that this is not helping. Candace, were you saying at that point that you're covering up, which is what the TBI actually thinks what happened? Or are you saying that you're this interview is not helping to convey and control the narrative that you want people to know? This has never been about the parents. Unless they want to come out and confess they know what happened and this XYZ is what happened. It's not about you. It's always been about Summer Moon Utah Wells. But you've gone and made it about everything else. David, exactly. David Brashner, exactly. And these are the channels that I refer to as being the drama-oriented channels, not the channels that are seeking truth about what happened, that want to know what happened, not for themselves, but for Summer's truth to come out. Angela James, thank you for coming out and joining us tonight. Peas in a pod, I 100% agree with you. They have an issue. The Wells have an issue. Whether they want to acknowledge this or not, I don't give a damn. It's not that their daughter is missing because they could care less. Their actions and what they say already show us that. In fact, before Summer Wells, let's not forget, before Summer Wells went missing, what was their plan to do? They were going to sell 110 Ben Hill Road and move to Utah. The Wells have a problem with what's a phrase from the 80s and the 90s. Cream and OPM. If you don't remember back to the 80s and the 90s, the rap song, I believe it was, or an R&B song, Cash Rules Everything Around Me. OPM is other people's money. Carrie has it exactly summed up. But people don't understand is they don't care about anything or anyone or what happens. Exactly, Miss Justice. Exactly. And I don't know what live that was, but that's the only thing he's doing. He's egging people on. Teresa, I am not hating on anybody. I am pointing out the truth of what it is. This is a hard pill to swallow today. But the short of the story is this, and every single answer that he gives should be exactly what Brandy Neal does. Not a moment goes by that she doesn't make an attempt to bring up her son and that he's been missing. It's the same exact response that should be given from the Wells. My daughter is missing. It's been almost 2 years. There's no hate in what we're saying. There is no hate in what we're saying. Whether you believe it or not, when it comes to Don Wells, his history going all the way back to was a teenager is valid. What he's doing on YouTube now is exactly what he accuses everybody else of. Teresa, I promise you, I have no malice in my heart. The only thing I want is for Summer to be found. For Summer to have the closure she deserves. Granted, tonight I am giving you my opinion. Based on what her parents are saying publicly. But it's her own parents that are the issue. We've said many times on this channel, and we've looked at it briefly, the difference in how the Wells handle Summer Wells missing to the way that Brandy has handled it, and her husband Tyler, boyfriend Tyler. Hello, Bailey. Hello, Tiny Tumbleweed. Thank you for coming out. And hello, Pug Mom. Thank you. Miss Justice, I can't disagree with you at all. Hello, Annabelle. Thank you for coming out tonight. I can't disagree. It's better to seek forgiveness than permission. I can ask a person to forgive me and expect nothing in return. By reporting what we understand the facts to be. And looking at a person's behavior and the words that they say when they are probably number one suspect, if not number 2 or 3, of having some involvement. Scott H., hello, how are you tonight? Teresa, he's always ready to throw Candace under the bus. That's nothing new. He's a manipulative, sociopath, or psychopath. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not smart enough. But it's clear he's a manipulative person. That if he's not getting his way, he's going to throw a hissy fit and start throwing people under the bus and saying, why are you blocking me? Why are you hating me? Why are you doing this, that, and the other? And try to make it out that you are the bad person. The point of tonight is that I couldn't stand the level of disgust that he treats his daughter with. The dismissiveness and arrogance that he treated Brandy Neal with. The fact that she has been nothing but a model of what a human, a mom or a dad or a parent in general, of what a parent needs to do. She sought out help. She went through no matter what means it takes to get help. To keep her son's name in the spotlight. And then you have what the Wells do. They don't what some are being talked about on YouTube or on social media. They don't want to acknowledge that she's missing. They've packed up all of her things. There's not a single thing that is Summers left in that house. They erased her from their memory, or try to do so. They claim they don't know what happened to the outfit that she was wearing that day. Because now, if you find out, if you believe the latest YouTube Streets rumors, that the jacket that Summer was wearing and reported in the reports of her description are now part of a memory box. 6 descriptions that were given out about summer in the first 24 hours. Now we know not one of them was correct. Not one of them was correct. Bailey, but that's exactly what they're doing. They're going on, they're only going on to YouTube channels that will allow them to put out their information, their cash app, their sob story, their woe is me, help me story. What about helping Summer? Because they don't do it. They don't help Summer. Superhero loves Akitas. Thank you for coming out. Save our bees. Thank you for coming out as well. They don't want to help their daughter. 6/15/2021. Six 2021. I just can't help get over or get beyond that the parents know what's going on. They knew what was going on from day one. They knew what was going on from day one. But they've hidden what happened. I'm disgusted that the parents, they don't even deserve to be called mom and dad or mother, father. None of that. We're coming up on, in the US, we're coming up on very quickly on Mother's Day and Father's Day. These are the people that do not deserve the joy of being celebrated on Mother's Day and Father's Day. Just as much as I say that, we're coming up just as quickly on the 2-year anniversary. There is no reason for it to have taken this long. Yes, I understand. There are missing kid cases that have gone on for 50 plus years. In fact, I've looked at the one that if you Google search the oldest missing kid case, it's something like 105 or 106 years. Never resolved, going back to the early 1900s. The only reason that Summer is still missing is because of what the parents are doing. Brandy Neal, I keep bringing up Brandy Neal, and please forgive me, Brandy, if you ever hear this or somebody links us to you that I've of made brought your information up or keep repeating your information. But you are the epitome, in my mind, of what a parent should be doing. Every single time there is a chance to mention your son, you do so. You literally put yourself out there knowing it was going to be hell. That people were going to dig into you and try to make you look out to be a bad person. But in the end of going through hell and remaining true to what your purpose was, people changed, spun around, said, we need to get behind her. Don, Candace, take a look at what Tyler and Brandy has done, because it's exactly what you need to be doing and should have been doing all along. Go through hell for 2 months and then have everybody advocate for your child. There's not one person I've ever heard from, and shame on them if they are any different. There's not one person that knocks what Brandy or Tyler are going through. Everybody says, we're here to help you. How can we help you? Let's sit down and talk about your child, Michael Monkey Vaughn. Diane P. So I'll get into that in a moment. Hang on to that remark. Keep that in memory. In fact, I'll go ahead and start this so I don't forget it myself. I've never claimed to be a great parent. I have a son who's now an adult. Just passed his birthday 2 weeks ago. Never have I ever claimed that I'm a good parent. No, Diane P, don't apologize, because it's actually a great point. And we'll take a look. I have information that might help explain that. I don't get into the details of what happened, why I say I'm not a great parent, and I never will. None of it's legal. None of it's anything for anybody to be concerned about. It's just because the results of a divorce. Having said that, priority number one with my child was growing up. Even though I may not be able to be there emotionally or physically because of the divorce, I was still emotionally involved. Willingly, and did everything, no matter if it meant I had to go scrub floors at a McDonald's or a Burger King, working overnight, and barely having food in my refrigerator, making sure that my child support requirements were met. I'm not saying if you're a parent in that situation, or a mom in that situation, or a dad in that situation, whatever. I'm not saying don't go forward with trying to get child support, because you deserve every penny you can possibly get within reason to help raise your child. But I'm saying it sucked. It sucked every single week to scrape pennies together. But I knew my child was taken care of. Never once did anybody hear me say, I can't do this or I can't do that because I have I have to have a job and pay my child support. Like like Don Wells just did in that interview. If my son went missing, I wouldn't have cared if I got locked up for not paying child support. Because my behind, two parents, one household, mind you, the Wells are, one of them should have been doing every single thing they couldn't do to search, while the other one worked. And if it meant that at dinner that night you had spaghetti 3 times a week, or you had rice and beans, That's exactly what you should be doing. But that's not what we got with the Wells. It's like the joke about everybody using a couple of fingers to play the world's saddest song on the world's tiniest violin. But they want to do so on a huge platform and stage and be like, woe is me, have pity on me, I'm so pathetic. And yet they refuse to talk about summer. But they say they want to defend summer from all the craziness and all the BS and that happens out in the world. But they're the ones that are stirring the pot of all that and not defending their daughter. It sickens me. It seriously sickens me. Teresa, honestly, you wouldn't. You wouldn't want to meet Candace. You wouldn't. You do not want to meet Don Wells either. What they display on YouTube is actually a very cleaned up version of who they truly are. These are horrible people. Kathy, I don't live far from where the Wells are, and I honestly would not want to meet them. Not only would I not want to meet them, but I'd be afraid of the actions I would take because they're so disgusting to me. Betty Smith, and Marie Dijon, thank you for coming out. I do see you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Oh, Palm Patrol, that quote. Oh no, 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 no. That wasn't from Don when he was in jail. That goes back to like September, October 2021. That's going back to 2021 when I'm going to give you one that even goes further than this. Candace said that she had actually no emotional response on Summer missing until she saw how it affected her boys. It was only when she saw how Summer missing was affecting the boys that she became emotionally invested in Summer Wells missing. Don't quote me on exactly when she said that, folks. I say it was September, October. I don't remember the actual date, but it was somewhere in about that general time. It was right before the boys went missing. Not missing, that the CPS took the boys. And it was after that that she actually admitted that that was the point that she became emotionally invested in her daughter being missing. So that statement, while she may have made it at a later date in that exact words, she said that much earlier. Now, I promised that I would go back to a comment Diane P. said earlier, and we're going to go take a look at that right now. I just heard Don B. say the boys were going to be adopted. It's looking like that. In Tennessee, for those that are not familiar with it, Tennessee is probably the single easiest state that, Kate, you thank you very much for coming out. I appreciate you doing so. Tennessee is probably the single easiest state for a parent to get their children back when they're in CPS or involved in CPS. CPS will make a physical list saying, this is what you need to correct. First step is to say keep the kids in that situation and hope there's progress. If there is no progress on that list, they're going to take the boys away, in this case, the boys, the children, for the better of the children. Not as a punishment to the parents, but they gave them opportunity. They show that they are neglecting that opportunity, therefore neglecting the children. And they're going to put them into foster care. Initially, CPS's goal is within 18 months to have the children back into the home. And when I say they have 18 months, I mean they really do not want it to be anywhere more than just a couple of months. But they'll go up to 18 months if necessary. At that point, if there's still no progress being made to satisfy CPS, while they've already been building a case with the courts and informing the courts of why they took the children and given the courts progress reports, we now have it to where the courts are intervening and having them stand in front of a judge to explain why they've not made progress on that list. It's then up to the judge to extend that time further. Mind you that it was approximately 6 weeks after Summer Wells went missing that the boys were taken into foster care. Usually in Tennessee, if you are a parent that has not made progress on that list that CPS gives at 21 months, you're not getting your children back. Unless there's significant progress and they're just giving the parents a few more months to get everything done. And when I mean significant progress, there's got to be like 90% done, and they ran into an issue with getting that last 10%. Catherine Marshall, you're exactly right. Kids are not pawns, but that's what they're treated as by the Wells. And that's not an unfair statement when you sit there and look back all the way back to Wisconsin. When you look all the way back to Wisconsin and look at the history of what has happened. Guys, I'm going to mute myself for just a moment. I appreciate your patience with me. My apologies, everybody. I appreciate your patience with me. I had to mute myself for a moment there. I apologize again. I can't imagine as just a grown adult can't imagine as just a grown adult in general that you wouldn't want to fight for a missing kid. It's a moment that makes absolutely no sense to me. An innocent child who didn't ask to be born, who doesn't expect anything in life. They're too young to expect anything in life. Their only job and concern with a child of her age is to go outside or be inside if the weather it doesn't allow, and to play with toys. Go ride a bicycle. Play on a swing. Go jump in a mud puddle or swim in a pool. All of these things are things that were robbed of an innocent child. And yet, what we're left with is parents that go, well, what about me? I'm a victim. No, the only victim is Summer Moon Utah Wills. You were supposed to be the advocate in a horrible situation. You were supposed to be the voice to keep her name alive and out in the world, the news, and in this case, YouTube or social media in general. Belly, exactly right. It's about Summer. Not one moment. Hello, Liplock. Thank you for coming out. Not one moment of time that hasn't gone by since 6/15/2021 hasn't been about summer. It's pathetic. And I'm not knocking any YouTuber when I say this, folks. It is pathetic that the YouTubers, that us, the people that are sitting out here and saying, we want to talk about summer. We want to know what happened to summer. Instead of being the parents. It should be exactly the way it was with Brandy Neal. My name is Brandy Neal. My son, Michael J. Vaughn, is missing. In all reality, what it should be is that we are a platform for the parents to do exactly what I just said. But instead, we are a platform that is defending their daughter from them. The reality and ugliness that they are. Alley Cat, thank you very much for coming out tonight, as well as 120 Acres. Thank you very much. 120 Acres has it exactly right. We want to talk about summer, but the parents just want to show us her photos and shut up. We won't shut up. Crazy Chicken Lady, thank you for coming out tonight. Cosplay, exactly right. We won't give up. We're not going to give up. No matter how much the parents want to balk and scream and cry on lives, I don't care. This channel is never going. I don't care if I'm the last channel to ever keep speaking about Summer Moon Utah Wells. That's exactly what I'm going to do. No matter what they say, no matter if they start coming onto my channel and try to blast me up, let them. Because the point is, I'm still going to talk about Summer Moon Utah Wells. Yes, Teresa. Summer is still missing. Their parents have no room for joy in their life because their child is missing. Nine Lives Mama and Maggie B, thank you for coming out. Flip Flop, if I didn't say hello to you earlier, hello. Kimmy, don't worry. I'm actually not going to be too much longer. I was going to open it up live for anybody if they wanted to join me in just a moment. But I'm not going to be too much longer. So don't worry about it, Kimmy. You're good. Now, folks, like I just said, I am going to open up this to being open for anybody to join. However, it's within limitations. If I'm not, with no disrespect to anybody, if I'm not familiar with you, I'm probably not going to allow for you to come up live until I have familiarity with you. If you are a streamer from a content creator from another channel, you are welcome to join me if you wish. Kathy, exactly right. I do ask anybody be respectful. That's I really did come on here tonight to rant, to get this off my own chest and get my own feelings, how I felt about the BS. The well said. And to give others opportunity to get off their chest as well. Get it off their shoulders, however you wish to phrase it. Because that was a huge, unbelievable statement. Liplock, email me. The channel's my email address I use for this channel is on my about. Or if Carrie would go ahead and post that in there, actually I can go ahead and do so. Email me and we will arrange sometime. That's my email, Liplock, and anybody else that wants it, you're welcome to have it. That's an email for my channel, and I do put that out there on my about page. It's just for my channel. I do respond to people within 36 hours. And I do say 36 hours because sometimes it takes a little bit with my work schedule and whatnot. But usually I am pretty decent about responding to people through email or the comments on my on my lives and whatnot. I'm usually pretty good about responding. Great. Thank you. It's unbelievable to me and unimaginable to me. I just couldn't stay silent. Lip lock no more. I understand. I'm old school as well. I'll just put it that way. I'm old school as well. Um, it's unimaginable to me that the parents could have the reaction that they are. Teresa, you don't have to be a creator to come join me if you want to be, instead of typing out. Only thing I ask for is you to be respectful. I'm not a monetized channel. You don't have to worry about all those rules that monetized channels have to worry about. I just if it gets to be to a point where I don't think it's respectful, I'll say something. But this is a time that anybody's welcome to join me and get it off their own shoulders about what you thought about what happened in the past 24 hours. You've heard me for speaking for about an hour and 15 minutes. You don't have to worry about having a camera or anything like that. It's just having a conversation. That's all it is. Nobody's pushing anybody, or nobody says anybody has to join. I'm not out here saying, you have to join me. I'm just giving people the opportunity. If you don't want to, I'm not offended. Don't worry about it. David Brash, you're exactly right. I always say, be careful of who you watch. Be careful who you listen to when it comes to YouTube. I named 2 creators tonight that are actually excellent. We're talking about Summer Wells. Hello, Teresa. How are you?
Good. And you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly good.
Okay.
So what's going on?
I just see the comments coming in about Candace. And I feel I wasn't there at the beginning, but having worked with DV and SA, I don't know how Candace is supposed to come forward in any, it's like everybody has just automatically judged her.
I don't think anybody is judging her. I think they're pointing out her actions. She has said that, and I think we were talking about Candace is we're going back to when she was interviewed with the behavior panel and how she acted with them, and that it has come out since then by rumor. I'll caution it that way, by rumor, that TBI actually wants to have another interview with Candace, and she actually fears what they would ask her and answer, or what her answers would be, that it wouldn't be perfectly what she answered before, and would end up having herself get in trouble. So I think there's fair criticism there to say that you got to go through it. No matter what, you got to go through it.
I think if it's TBI, she should meet with them. But I also see the comments from people. And like I said, I wasn't there from the beginning, so I didn't see how she was treated in the beginning. But I mean, it is just constant.
In all honesty, the way that Candace was treated at the beginning of her daughter going missing was actually very fair. Very fair. Everybody had immediately focused on what Don Wells was saying because he was trying to be the voice for the family.
Well, I've seen a lot of people giving him leeway. And I've seen, don't laugh, because like I actually have like the video of him talking about how many alibis he had. And he was just like ready to throw her under the bus. Like he didn't have any qualms about it.
Right. So the Wells themselves have a very tumultuous relationship. And it goes back to October 2020, where the police had become involved in, and which is why Don Wells was actually on probation. If you're not familiar with that, there was a DV situation that did happen, involving a weapon, and I'm not going to get into the details of it because I don't know the full details of it. I just know enough to say that Don Wells landed up being on probation out of it, and CPS was involved in the family at that point because of the allegations of that the kids were allowed to run around with loaded pew-pew type weapons. And that there was some issues that had started being monitored at that point. I believe is probably the best way to say it. But there was actually no cooperation from the family. And they landed up dismissing those and dropping that investigation. After Summer went missing, however, they couldn't ignore and just brush over those allegations any longer. It was the situation completely changed.
And so the timeline of Don leaving and them breaking up and getting back together, I'm just like wondering, has anybody checked to see if Summer's with any family members? I'm not talking Wisconsin, I'm talking on Don's side.
Yeah, that would be Utah, and yes, they've investigated that. Summer is not out in Utah.
Okay, when I see all the hate, I'm just like wondering, how do people think that they're ever going to come forward and say what happened to her if they even had it in them to come forward? Mm-hmm. I mean, there are no leads. We don't know where she's at, if she's alive or not.
That's correct. And if you go statistically, what has happened by what TBI and FBI will put out there, there's a very slim chance that Summer is alive. Very slim chance at this point, which is what I was saying. Dismissing the extremes of, the Elizabeth Smart and the other person I had said was missing for 50 some years, almost 57 years, and was reunited with his parents. And this was just something that happened, I'm going to say, within the past 3 weeks. There are outliers in the statistics. It's very rare. So a lot of the criticism that you're experiencing, and again, I'm going to use criticism instead of hate because it's fair criticism at this point with the statements and the actions that she has made. At first, everybody was focused on what Don Wells said. And what Don Wells has said from the get-go never made sense. Their issues were they were too involved in their addictions that they couldn't even acknowledge that their daughter was missing. Couldn't say that he never could say his daughter's name when interviewed, and he went out of his way to be interviewed by everybody he possibly could. So everybody has since then figured out what Don Wells' game is. And despite with what happened on the lab, which he does a tremendous job. If you've never watched his channel, I would recommend doing so. Don tries to point his ire at the lab. And Josh, which is the creator's name, does the best possible job he can to get him to calm down and to focus on what he's trying to say, or what the truth is of where he's trying to, what's drawing his ire. And it almost always is the same thing. that he doesn't want Summer being talked about on YouTube because he doesn't believe it helps any. The last person to have any known contact with Summer on June 15th was Candace. But she hides behind channels that are the drama channels that I was referring to. And she doesn't speak about Summer. She does everything but. There's a problem when she avoids the police and avoids to go and talk about her daughter. And it's not she can't emotionally do so. She just refuses to do so.
What do you mean she can't emotionally do it? I mean, if she should go to TBI, but
Right.
the other, like, you know, Dr. Phil and what's the other? I don't know, but
Behavior panel.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what would keep her back from trying either. But
It's an emotional
when you
disconnect that I'm referring to, which is what
when
the statement I was making about it wasn't until she considered how this was affecting her boys that she became emotionally invested in her daughter missing. Just as quick as that it was an emotional connection, she emotionally disconnected from it as well.
okay, so she made an emotional connection and then shut down.
Yes.
Right. So I don't know. I just like I don't know what you said. You said these comments are truthful, or you didn't use the word truthful, but some of the comments, what I've seen from when I first started about her being, the way she looks and, this, that, and the other thing is just abuse.
Now, are these comments that were on other channels that you've seen, or because I have not seen these comments that you're referring to on my channel?
Yeah, they would have been. I mean, no,
Okay.
I'm not saying that they are on your channel, but I do see people's comments, and some of them are, I won't say it because I don't want your channel to be whatever.
No,
Strike.
no. You don't have to worry about my channel being striked. I'm not monetized. So
Okay.
you really don't have to worry about that. So the comments, unfortunately, I can't defend or explain the comments because they're not on my channel. I am going to say there are people that are extremely hateful towards the Wells. But here, my mods know that I don't want that kind of thing happening in my chat room. Or it's our chat room. I'm sorry. When I say my mods are as much part of my chat about my live as the channel is under my name. So it's for us, it's our channel. And I just don't tolerate that. There is a constructive criticism is allowed. Having a conversation is always welcomed here. But what happens in some other channels, and I think I knew the channel you're talking about, which I don't mention that channel's name because that channel is outright hateful. And I would not tolerate that happening here.
Right. It would be great if she would come up and talk. My thing is, I don't see that happening, in the way things are going.
No,
It
she's
just,
not. She isn't. She won't.
all right, well, I will let somebody else come up.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I had not seen your name in my chat before, so I want to say thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Exactly, Kate. All I got to say about that is and it's not with any disrespect towards anybody, just take a look in a mirror. The saying is, those who live in glass houses cast the first stone. When you look at yourself in a mirror, isn't there at least one thing that you don't like about the way you look? So nobody has the right to cast the first stone. Yeah, guys, give her a lot of credit and a thank you. I know it does take a lot of courage, especially if you've not been on a panel before or talked to somebody to join. I do appreciate her joining us. Katerina Rusova, you could go as far as to say she was outright flirting with that person. True crime and other stuff. I think you snuck in and I didn't see you. I appreciate you doing so. Thank you very much for coming out. Tiny Tumbleweed, that's exactly my point. My point is exactly. It's their actions and their words. I don't care what they look like. They could be as country as can be. Buy hand-me-downs or use hand-me-downs or thrift shop clothing, have patches in their clothing. I wouldn't care. The one person I care about the most about is Summer in this. But their actions and their words keep negatively affecting their child and the investigation and what happened to her. Teresa, you did very well. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you joining us. Elisa P., thank you for joining me. WR, thank you for coming out tonight. Absolutely. Lisa actually is making a good point here. The proof is in the pudding as far as Candace and Don go. They do not care or love Summer or her brothers. And I have no use for them or sympathy. I believe in my heart they are guilty, and I always will. Lisa, I actually agree with you. I believe 100% that the parents are legally responsible. Legally responsible at this point for what they did. There's no other way of saying it. Whether it was actions on that day or knowledge that they have gained and refused to go to the police about since then. JPG, it's when you have to make the statement that it wasn't until you realized how this was impacting the boys, that is when you became emotionally involved. And then you want to be extremely disconnected and don't want to talk about Summer. And when people try to get you to talk about summer, that you either just do one of two things: you walk away, and refuse to talk, or start cursing out somebody for doing so. For how dare they ask a question, a legitimate question, and not a softball question that they've been answering 30 times at least. That's how come I say it. Yes, exactly. BB Diamond, thank you for coming out tonight. That also, randomly, when there's, yes, out where they live, they have issues with connection, with phone calls and things like that. However, the rate of which they lose calls is a little bit too predictable. JPG, we did not think you were being disrespectful or anything like that. We are all about having that conversation. It was a good question. Don't think anything but. Well, BB Diamond, that may be the end result, but first she needs to stop hiding. And if if what everybody says that that supposedly the TBI wants to have an additional interview with her and has done so for going on a year and a half almost, that she needs to go have that interview. Okay. No matter what the Wells say, they've never been cleared. There is no pass or fail on a lie detector test. Katerina Rostova, hang on 1 second. I'll come back to that. There is no pass or fail on a lie detector test. What it is a device that is not criminally acceptable as far as a court of law goes. That it's an investigative tool. That's all it is. That helps to detect deception. By knowing biorhythm, by monitoring a heart, and other things like that. That's all a lie detector test wants to do. And because they want her to come back in, that's a problem. Because there's that. What that's saying is when they say that they want somebody to come back in for an additional test, they're saying that there was enough issues with the original test that they can't make a determination of what the results are. Her results were all over the place. But nobody's been cleared. Nobody that lives on Ben Hill Road on 6/15/2021 was ever cleared. of having anything to do with Summer Wells' disappearance. And for the person that asked, I don't see the comment in front of me any longer. You're asking about the jacket being in the memory box. It goes further to prove that nobody was searching for the child, was searching for Summer Wells. That 6 descriptions were given on 6/15/2021, and none of them were for Summer. That's what I think that shows, and that what that proves. None of the descriptions that were ever given to the police were ever about Summer. They weren't Summer. 6 descriptions. Which makes you sit there and think, did the parents plan this to that extent? If so, how dare they? How dare they? You want to talk about disrespect, Mr. Wells? You want to talk about disrespect and how people are ruining your family's life or the chance that you're going to get your boys back? How dare you disrespect your daughter? Because that's the only thing you've been doing. Your wife, if this is the truth, was the last person known to see her on 6/15/2021. If you've been told something, if you've figured out something and not gone to the police about it, you're just as guilty as she is. You should. If you know something that your wife did to your child, I don't give a damn about how much you supposedly care about your wife. Made the conversation. We've had a conversation on this channel before of how it's not real. A pregnancy is not real to a man until a man holds your child for the first time. You look into that child's eyes, you hold him or her, and everything changes. It's your responsibility to your child first. To go to the police, and even if you're your wife, to turn your wife in. It's your responsibility. Carrie is right. All persons or persons are assumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But if you know something, you need to speak up for her, Summer. Your actions say you know something, but you're protecting your wife. Not an innocent child. HDC, that's me. You're exactly right. It's a good thing we're not in a court of law here. You're right. You're right. But it's a good thing we're not the court of law either. Hello, Bama fan. Thank you for coming out. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and end it in just a second tonight. If there was ever a night that when I say, when I say for me, it's almost 8:30 at night on the East Coast. And then I say, do you know where your kids are tonight? No matter how old or how young they are, do you know where your kids are tonight? Where Summer 1-800-TBI find it. I didn't see you come in the back door, but I do want to thank you for coming out before I close this up tonight. No matter how old or how young your kids are, give them an extra hug. Give them a kiss, an extra kiss tonight. Make sure that they know that you love them. It will always make a difference with them. I want to thank you for coming out tonight. Before I do leave, Summer Moon, Utah Wells, 6/15/2021. We now know the description that I used to say doesn't matter, or it looks like it doesn't matter. Other than she was about 3 feet tall and about 30 pounds. (6/15/2021) is a clock that never should have been started for Summer. And for that fact, the day that a child goes missing, it should never be started for that child as well. My sentiments exactly where Summer 1-800-TBI find. My sentiments exactly. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. If I did miss you in my chat, please don't be offended. And to my replay crew, I want to thank you for watching when you do. But I want everybody to have a good night. My name is RJ. This has been Conversations Living Room, and I'm out.